Well, there's been shocking testimony from 222 witnesses recounting a large-scale massacre of civilians as they desperately tried to flee an ethnic rampage last June.
Yes, witnesses have described children being piled up and shot by the Paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. Human Rights Watch is calling on the United Nations and the African Union as well to impose urgent arms embargoes on Sudan. Now, Mudassir Siddiqui is the Deputy CEO of Plan International Australia, and he's recently come to Australia from Ethiopia, where he was supporting refugees fleeing across the Sudanese border. He joins us now from Melbourne. Mudassir, welcome to the program. It does seem that lots of international attention of late has been paid to the Middle East, to the war in Ukraine, far less so to the situation in Sudan. Now, Human Rights Watch has reviewed a period of activity between April and November of last year in West Darfur State. Just tell us what's been found.
So we as Plan International are operating in Sudan for many, many years. And the humanitarian catastrophe that this war has brought is unimaginable. As a humanitarian organization, we deplore all forms of violence against civilians, and we would like the warring parties to adhere to international humanitarian law and allow aid agencies to continue supporting civilians and to keep the civilians out of the harm's way. I think what this war has brought over the last 1 year is 20 million people in need of humanitarian assistance. That's the size of the Australian population nearly. We have 8 million people who are displaced multiple times. We have children who have not been to school for almost a year. We have 80% of health facilities that are not functional. So what we have in Sudan right now after this year-long war is catastrophe and misery all around. And we are just weeks away from conditions like famine already being prevalent, turning into a full-blown famine.
OK, we might talk further about displaced people in a moment, but just take us to the groups, the ethnic groups that are being targeted here. And I think in particular an incident which your investigation has found was among the worst, when a convoy lined up for the border towards Chad came under intense attack last year. The findings are quite gruesome. I don't really want you to specify them to us, but how many people, what is the estimate of people who may have been killed in that attack alone?
So these are reports coming from Human Rights Watch of the atrocities. Plan International and other humanitarian partners have been active in Darfur for many, many years. We are providing humanitarian assistance to all ethnic groups that are affected by this conflict. As I said earlier, we categorically condemn any forms of violence perpetrated against civilians by warring parties, and we would really urge them to make sure that, in this conflict, they are keeping people away from harm and saving the lives of people, rather than, committing any atrocities.
All right, Mudassir, so displaced people, as we speak, where are most located at the moment, and is there any foreseeable prospect that they may return to Darfur anytime soon?
So the population is, as I said, 8 million people are displaced. Majority of them are displaced within Sudan, but also in neighboring countries. And what we are seeing is that this change in front lines, conflict shifting from one part to the other, has led to people moving multiple times in order to save their lives. So majority of people are located within Darfur, in other parts of Sudan, and they are constantly on the move as the front line keeps shifting.
OK, and then for international involvement, there are, as we said in our introduction, calls for some sort of arms embargo. Above and beyond that, though, there are also, I think, a push for the International Criminal Court to launch some sort of investigation. Is that likely, or even is that underway?
Well, we would definitely like the international community to not forget Sudan. We have to keep our eyes on Sudan because of the human misery and catastrophe that is unfolding over here. We would urge all international community, including the government of Australia, to deploy its full diplomatic tools to make sure that a ceasefire is achieved, that peace is prevailing over there, and that humanitarian access is being provided to agencies like us so that we can deliver assistance. We would also like the international community, including the government of Australia, to demonstrate generosity in this hour of need and make sure that there are resources available for aid agencies to carry on their work on the ground.